All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of Assemble. My name is High Ruler, and today we have quite a bit to talk about. From the patch this week to the patch next week, we have some stuff to talk about in terms of the blog and what the blog offered. And then we have some stuff to talk about endgame gameplay loop, exotics and legendaries. We have the nerf to patterns and gear that supposedly took place this week, and the community's outcry about that. And I can already tell you my opinion is not going to be one that most of the community is probably going to like. But that's what it is. So to kind of get things started today, I just kind of want to go over the small patch that we had this week and the blog post that we had this week as well. So for people familiar with my YouTube channel, which is Assemble Podcast, I do some small little YouTube videos on there. This week I covered both the patch and the blog post in more in depth than what I will give you here. In summary, though, for the patch, it was basically allowing us to revert save states to get out of crashes. The Avengers helicarrier crash was kind of, I won't say fixed, but they gave sort of workarounds using all these saves, and using client-side saves, you're able to kind of get out of these situations and kind of manipulate and so on and so forth. They basically just allowed us to, get out of certain situations that the game may be putting people in, which is okay, which is good. But there was no real bug fixes in terms of a lot of stuff that people are seeing. There's still no matchmaking kind of fixes. And that's like kind of the big thing that people are looking for right now, is like that matchmaking fix more than anything, I would imagine. They did say the patch 1.3.0 is going to be their biggest patch yet. It's going to have hundreds of quality of life fixes. I can't remember if they said anything off the top of my head about matchmaking, but I would have to imagine matchmaking is still up there on priority list. So hopefully we do see something about matchmaking this week, if not on its own thing, but within 1.3.0. Because I'm going to be honest with you guys, as someone who's played Anthem, as someone who's played Destiny, Division, all these multiplayer games, so on and so forth, if you have an online game and you don't have proper matchmaking 2 weeks after launch, your game's going to die, and they have some time. One of the nice things is that because this game is multiple characters, maybe people are just going to start leveling up each and every single character slowly and methodically and doing everything like this. But eventually you're going to need matchmaking to work, and without matchmaking working, it's a wrap. They need to figure this out as soon as possible. I would even say like last week should have been the time to figure it out. I would hope that going into this week they kind of get it all smoothed and ironed out. Because if they don't, then it's going to be a really rough week, and we're going to see the community get, I won't say toxic, but antsy in terms of matchmaking. That's my only thing. Hopefully they do come and figure it out. Hopefully they do kind of understand that, like, we need matchmaking for an online game, because not everyone is going to have friends to play with right off the bat, and we want to enjoy this game to the full experience. It definitely plays into like the mission types, and how there's only certain doors that can be opened by certain characters and everything to do with that, because it shows that like the game is meant to be played with friends, or if not friends, then random people. And if you can't do that, then you're missing a big chunk of the game, you're missing a big chunk of the fun. And they definitely need to kind of figure that out ASAP. So that's just kind of my thoughts right now on the patches. I'm excited for 1.3. If I'm going to be honest with you guys, I think 1.3 has the potential to be a very good starting point with regards to kind of the future of the game 2 weeks after launch, 3 weeks after launch. 1.3 has to be a really big patch in terms of just knocking out all the things that they're seeing on the subreddit, on Twitter, on all their social media channels. If they can kind of iron out a lot of these early kinks that people are kind of discovering and seeing, then I think the community will kind of lay off in terms of being, right now the community, I won't say is hostile, but there's a lot of very negative feelings within the community right now. And we'll talk about it in a little bit later with regards to the loot and pattern dropping and everything like that. But when I read the subreddit, there's an overwhelming sense of people are just feeling restless with the game, and part of me understands why, but part of me also doesn't understand why either. But I'm gonna touch on that. Don't worry, I'm gonna touch on that. Um, so yeah, so kind of where I want to go next is I want to talk a little bit about my own personal experience with the end game, and maybe we can start touching on the community at large with a discussion around the end game right now. So for people who don't know, right now I've been basically playing Captain America and trying to get Captain America to 150. And kind of my experience with the gameplay loop right now, I will say that assignments are glitched or bugged or however you want to say it. I'm not getting my full assignments every single day because they're bugged, which means I'm not getting my full XP. I'm not getting my full resources. I'm not earning all the polychrons that I should be earning every single day. Because of that, it's definitely making it a little bit harder to kind of gear up and get my resources and so on and so forth, which makes it very difficult to, when I log on and I don't have a full list of things that I can grab in order to do, kind of the first thing that I think in my head is like, oh well, fuck, here we go again, right? Like, unfortunately, the game did launch in such a buggy state that there isn't a lot of free will, or not, sorry, free will, goodwill to kind of give whenever it's another glitch. It's like, oh fuck, here's another one. It's like, at the end of the day, when I see a glitch in a game, I won't be like, oh, that's weird, I've never seen that before, instead of, oh fuck, like, here we go, right? And the problem is like the community is seeing these glitches over glitches over glitches, and our thoughts are like, all right, well, yeah, I guess so, instead of being like, wow, that's really fucking weird, I wonder where that came from, right? And that's a problem. That's a problem because you never want your community to be like, okay, well, this is a glitch, whatever, right? We want to be like, oh, that's really weird, let's report that as soon as we can. Like, and people kind of meme on Bethesda and everything to do with that and all their glitches in their games and how the community accepts them and their features, not bugs, or whatever they kind of justify them with. But at the end of the day, you never want your product to be so buggy that your customers are just kind of stuck picking up the pieces, right? No matter what. And unfortunately, there are certain aspects of this game that kind of are more buggy than others, and because of that, it definitely plays into the thought of like, we're kind of just here with the game, and the game's a little buggy, and it is what it is, right? So hopefully, kind of moving forward from 1.3, that they do fix that and everything like that. Because right now with the assignments, it's kind of limiting my potential every day to kind of gear up and do this and do that. um so I mean, with that being said, the assignments right now, um basically the assignments right now are pretty standard and pretty easy to do. You get a villain sector each day to do, which is okay. You can do that every week. You can do a priority mission, you can do the elite stuff, you can do the hives. So I would say, like, the end game loop right now, it definitely feels like you're doing a bunch of dungeons without the raid. It definitely feels like, I know. So to be honest, I haven't done the 14th floor mission yet. I know that's at the end. If I'm correct, is at the end of the Avengers Initiative mission. So by the end of tonight, which it is, so people who are watching or listening, it is Sunday the 13th. So by the end of tonight, when I'm on stream, I'll be done that. I'll be ready to tackle the 14th floor mission. Whether that happens tonight or tomorrow is to be seen. But I'm pretty much right there in terms of like progressing through all the end game missions and stuff like that. So it'll be exciting to finally get to that. Um, my worry is that everyone's kind of doing, you know, the missions and the hives and the vaults, but there's not that grand finale. You know what I mean? When you're gearing up and you have your character as best as it can be, you have your build set to what it can be, and we're going to talk about builds too, after this. But then you kind of do these hives and you do these elite versions. What I would have loved to see on, not day one, but obviously, we're getting 2 weeks out. I would have loved to see, just a operation just right there, like this content. They were waiting to drop it till everyone was kind of around 150. you drop it, and it's a new boss, it's a new villain, and it's right there at the end. Like, there's new mechanics, there's everything. Like, give us something that would have been good, because if my understanding was correct, they were talking about releasing new content a few weeks after launch. Um, so I don't know if that's still in the plans. I don't know if that was the Wakanda stuff that they were teasing. They never really went into specifics, if I remember correctly. But I would have loved to see, or still would love to see, new content just being dropped. You know, even if it's a new villain sector with a new supervillain, even something like that, just throw a little variety in it. Because right now, um, with only Abomination and Taskmaster, I mean, there's a little bit of these kind of games are definitely repeatable content. They're definitely, they usually start off pretty small, and then over time they kind of grow. And I mean, it's kind of the it's kind of like what you have to expect from a game like this. But there's also the idea that we should be demanding more, and we should be expecting more from these kind of games, especially a game that was already delayed. You know what I mean? From May to September. I know that's not a long time in terms of game development. I imagine a lot of that was probably spent bug fixing more than anything. But I would like to see some sort of content drop before Kate Bishop. I don't want to see I don't want to see the first content drop be Kate Bishop and her storyline and no operation. I think we need an operation. I think we need some bigger content in order to kind of satisfy the player base and add to that end game loop. Um, and I think if you did something like that, I think if Crystal Dynamics did something like that, you would sort of kind of ease the crowd off a little bit. Because the crowd is starting to get a little wild, you know what I mean? Like, we need to figure out a way to kind of please the crowd in the sense of giving them a little something without giving them a lot of a something right now. um because the mob is getting ready, and that's just kind of where I'm at with that. I'm not going to be part of the mob. I'm perfectly okay right now with what I have. It doesn't mean I'm totally satisfied. I would love to see more. I'd love to see more in-depth missions. I would love to see more villains. I would love to see more of everything. But if they can't give it to us right now because of, reasons, technical, budget, financial, whatever it may be, if there's no content ready until K Bishop comes out, I mean, it is what it is. That's the reality we live in, right? Like, I'm not gonna throw a fit over it. I'm just gonna accept the reality for what it is and kind of just wait and play it out and kind of see how it goes. I just hope that they have something kind of ready and something that's on a more grander scale than what we've already gotten. And if they do, that'd be absolutely wonderful. Because I'm super pumped for the game, and if they just like dropped like an operation or a new villain sector and was like, there you go, guys, go at it, I would be like, oh my god, you guys are great. So who knows, man? Maybe like I'll never say never in terms of this stuff. Um, but hopefully we get something soon. And if we don't, we don't. But I'm holding a hope for us, guys. I'm holding a hope that we get something. So hopefully, man. Hopefully. So in terms of that end game content stuff and the end game gameplay loop and everything to do with that, I want to touch on the exotics. Um, Now, for people watching on YouTube, I don't have a picture of the exotics in front of me right now, so you guys are gonna have to take my word for this. So as far as I know, exotics drop after you do the 14 floor hive mission. So you battle through it instead of like a 6 floor one that most of us are probably accustomed to right now. You do 14 floor one, and at the end of the 14 floor one, you have a chance to get an exotic drop. Now someone could correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe as of current recording time, there is one exotic for each character. So that means there's one for Cap, one for Miss Marvel, one for Iron Man, so on and so forth. Now, what I've seen from these exotics are that they are garbage. I've seen them roll with the same perks and rolls that the legendaries have rolled with. I've seen a Thor one that is not the greatest. Now, if you want to see all these guys, you can head over to reddit.com/r/play Avengers. There's pictures of them. You just search exotic and you'll get the pictures of them. I imagine some of them may fit into some builds that you guys have, but in terms of the itemization and in terms of the perks and the stats and the procs, I would be hard pressed to kind of find one that is so above and a legendary that I would care to use it. Um, and this kind of goes back to a larger conversation I was having last night with my stream, in that the itemization in this game I don't think goes far enough. Um, I think the exotics in their state that they're in are a symptom of a greater issue within the itemization of this game. I think the itemization of this game plays it too safe. It doesn't do enough, and I think we need more variety. I think we need more. There has to be more to it, and unfortunately, when you look at, I almost want to compare this to Marvel Heroes. I don't I And maybe that's unfair because it's two different types of games, but Marvel Heroes and their items had way more stats on it, had way more benefits to these items. There was way more things that got triggered. There was way more procs to them, versus like an item on Marvel Avengers where it just feels like every item is playing it safe. And maybe that's super unfair of me to compare them. Maybe I should be comparing it to Destiny or the Division. And if you want to make that argument, the exotics that are part of Destiny and the Division are still way more varied and still provide way more variety than the exotics that are a part of Avengers. And one of the things that we need to look at is we need to look at getting an item, like an item system, an itemization system that provides, the opportunity to build better, just better gears, better build sets, better everything. One of the things that I noticed is right now there's an infinite Brooklyn Brawler build going around with Captain America. And one of the things that, is touched upon is that you don't really need gear to make the build. The build's all built off of skills. And like that's all good and all, but we're playing a looter. We're playing a game that's like primary focus is to loot. And if you're looking at building a build and there's no items that kind of can complement that build, let alone, kind of do more with it, then what's the point of playing a looter, we need to have a system that empowers builds that can totally make a build. We need something that can totally just empower the players through their characters. Exotics should be wacky and wild and add more to it. Exotics should be able to change the gameplay focus of a character. We need, and like I was saying last night on my stream, I would much rather Crystal Dynamics go for the home run in terms of itemizations. Like go all out there at the start, go really wild. Have a lot of different things that can happen, have a lot of different procs that can happen, visual effects, so on and so forth. And if it doesn't work, then just dial it back, tune it back. I would much rather them see really try and go out there rather than not going out there, than having to kind of create on the fly, I guess I would say. But I'm also not a game designer, so maybe my opinion in that regards is not applicable and not doable. But I would have just loved to see them go like really far out there first, and then pull it all back if it wasn't working. But I think I think one of the things that I've kind of seen over my time playing these games, whether it's a Destiny or Division or Anthem or Diablo or whatever, the items that can go farther and do wackier stuff and can provide more, just more differences between you and someone else. And, you know, I think those are the games that have a lot more fun. If your builds, and I'll go back to this point, if your builds aren't affected by the gear you're wearing, then why are you wearing the gear in the first place? Is it just for the power? Is it just for the numbers? I would like gear that affects the skills too. If we could get gear that changes the skills or adds something different to the skills or something like that, I think we need that. We need something that isn't just about the numbers, but is about also affecting the build and the build diversity. And without that, I think the itemization is pretty poor, and we need to take a look at that as a community. And I imagine as time goes on, that's going to be a bigger sticking point with the community. I think right now there's some bigger fish to fry for the community at large, but I don't think itemization has been talked about enough yet. And I think it's going to be something that is going to be it really talked about moving forward. And I hope Crystal Dynamics is ready for that conversation. And I'm not saying that at large we need a Gear 2.0 or, you know what I mean, anything like that. But I definitely think that they need to look at Gear in the sense of Gear needs a purpose other than providing a number. And right now, I can't see Gear doing more than just providing a number. And I spoke to this earlier this week when it came to the blog and how there's different modifiers on different missions. And one of the things I said is I don't pay attention to the modifiers. I just roll in there with the gear I have and I just complete the mission. Yeah, maybe I take a little bit more frost damage and get chilled maybe 1 or 2 more times. Um, but to the extent that like I'm gonna go and switch out all my gear for every different modifier, it's not happening. It's not happening. And that is right there, I think, a failure of the system, of the itemization system. And I think if I'm not paying attention to the modifiers and I'm not being affected by the modifiers, then you need to kind of take a look at your system and figure out where the failures are. And I'm going to start by saying itemization. So I definitely think they need to figure that out and come to some sort of conclusion on what to do, because right now I would argue it's probably not in a good state. And so I want to switch gears here, guys, and I want to talk a little bit about the community and the kind of the process that's been taking place over the past week or so. So this week there was some reports that loot was kind of stealth nerfed and fabrics were kind of stealth nerfed. And for people who don't know, fabrics are the in-game drop that you take to a vendor, like a machine, but it for all intents and purposes, for people who don't really know, it's like a vendor, and then you kind of redeem that fabric for a skin or credits. Now, what had happened this week is that people had found a very efficient way to farm them, to get consistent drops. And as you can imagine, getting costume drops like very consistently, like whenever you run or something like that, was probably not intended. Just because it's probably one of the ways they're going to keep people playing, like, oh, collect all the costumes, stuff like that. It definitely is a way for people to kind of keep, it's like that carrot on the stick for a lot of people. And people had found a way to like consistently kind of get one every single time. So Crystal Dynamics had went in and kind of nerfed that, and the unfortunate kind of consequence to that is they accidentally nerfed loot as well. So the community was like up in arms over this, right? Like, oh, you nerfed loot, you nerfed the fabrics, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? Like, dear Crystal Dynamic, using resources on nerfing our fun while your game is in its current state sends out the wrong signal. So basically, a post like this, there's many of them, kind of talks about like, why are you nerfing loot? You should be focusing on like game breaking bugs and anti-fun mechanics and stuff like that. And like the heart of the message is like, don't focus on nerfing stuff for the players, focus on fixing the stuff. And I always kind of go back to like, there's always more than one team. In terms of like games like this, there's always more than 10 employees that are working on a game like this. There's multiple different objectives, there's multiple different pipelines. People have to understand that just because like one subsection of a team may be working on one thing doesn't mean a different team can't be working on something else. For example, even if it can look shitty to some people, I think they have to understand that it's like when like cosmetics come out in a game and people are like, fix the bug, why are you releasing cosmetics? And the idea is like, your artists aren't going to stop working just because some of your developers are working on bugs or whatever, right? Like, you need those artists to keep working. You still need revenue to come in. So in essence, posts like these are like, quote, like just straight up trash. Straight up trash. The fact that like this got like 1.1k upvotes is it speaks to the community at large, which is really unfortunate. I think posts like this are just crap, just absolute crap. So so this is kind of like the idea. So for people who are listening, and not watching the video, like this post is just kind of complaining, and all it is just kind of complaining. And then they kind of backtrack a little bit and saying like even though there's a lot of technical issues with the game and the gameplay loop is somewhat lacking, they believe that there's a great hidden game here. It's just kind of backtracking a little bit after their post kind of gained like way more attention than they probably thought. At the end of the day, it was probably way more positive attention than negative with the upvotes. So, kind of the way Crystal Dynamics kind of came back was Phil kind of wrote a post and he's like, "Hey all, thank you for the patience while we investigated issues concerning faction missions awarding Power 120 gear. This was in no way an intentional decision to nerf mission drops. As noted, our priority is very much on fixing bugs at the moment. An error in the loot tables for faction missions caused them to award high quality patterns as consistently, which was not intended. In fixing this error, the loot table for these missions was adjusted accidentally to lower power than originally intended. To correct this, we are modifying the loot table for these missions so that they award gear up to power 130 rather 120. The missions will also temporarily award upgrade modules as an apology for our error. Take advantage of it while you can. Please note, threat sectors and drop zones will continue to award gear up to only power 120 as they have since launch. This change should be live now." So they basically recognize that they messed up. Someone somewhere kind of changed the value that they shouldn't have. They went in, they looked at it, they saw the error, they fixed it, they pushed it, they put an apology out, and they're awarding upgrade modules, which are super hard to get and super needed. And basically, they kind of said right here, their priority is fixing bugs. Getting fabrics off of every run is a bug. You shouldn't be getting that. You should no one wants all the costumes in 2 weeks. I'm sorry. If you want all the costumes in 2 weeks, then you just want to be like, you're one of those people who are going to complain in about a week and a half of doing this that there's nothing left in the game for you. That you have nothing left. You've got all the costumes, like I don't know why I'm playing the game anymore, yada yada yada. And you know what, man? Like, we're not even at the crux of the issue yet. So let's get to the crux of the issue. All right. So Crystal Dynamics comes out. They say that was a bug. That was unintended. Here's an apology. Here's what we're doing to make it up to you guys. Right now, when we look at it, people have now figured out that if you set your PS4 to offline while you play the game, you can now farm the fabrics that you could pre-patch, which means everyone is going to be doing this to have all the costumes in 2 weeks, and it's going to be sickening when people in 2 weeks complain that there's no new costumes to grind, there's no new cosmetics to grind, the only cosmetics left are in the marketplace, and they don't want to pay that money. So just honestly, if you're listening to this, give it 2 weeks. 2 weeks before all these people are complaining about all these cosmetics they've already earned, and the only ones left are the marketplace ones, and they don't want to pay money for them. All right, because this is so stupid right here. You have a developer make a mistake. They fix the mistake. They award you guys some upgrade modules in order to get higher level gear faster. Instead of just being like, yeah, totally, it's totally cool. Like, you know what? Mistakes happen, accidents happen. Unfortunately, we can't farm that stuff anymore, but it's all good. Instead, now you have the community at large that are gonna literally turn all their PS4s offline in order to farm these fabrics, and then they're gonna complain in 2 weeks. And you know what? People are gonna be like, well, you know what? It's just the way it is. If I can do it, I'm gonna do it. And I get it, but you know what? The spirit of the whole thing is that you just need to not do it, man. I don't know. I think the thing that people need to understand is you're gonna burn yourself out, and you're gonna get very salty in a few weeks, and it's gonna be so sad. It's gonna be so sad when people are like, why is there no more content? Where's the cosmetics? This and that and this. And you know what? These people are gonna be wanting these the new cosmetics that are gonna be in the game, not in the marketplace. Which, I mean, don't get me wrong, there should be cosmetics continually added to the game that aren't the marketplace. But by having, some of these cosmetics that are recolors and stuff like that, it's supposed to give them time to kind of keep going and keep making these cosmetics and keep making these new costumes. Because I don't know if you guys are aware, So anytime you deal with Marvel in a video game, for example, and I learned this when I was playing Marvel Heroes. So Gazillion needed to push everything past Marvel. Any new costumes, any new anything they wanted to add, because Marvel is very kind of restrictive over their characters and their IP. Anytime you want to do something, you need to take it to Marvel for the final approval. So even if it's a costume, for example, you need to come up with the costume, or you need to say Marvel, we want to do this costume, and then you need to come back with like an actual kind of the look that it has and everything like that. So it can take a while. Like there's quite a bit of red tape to kind of get through when it comes like to do with stuff like this, which is why, you know, you're not going to see like all these costumes, kind of just flood the gates right away, right? Um so I don't know. Um I'm just very disappointed in the community. I'm super disappointed in the way, why should I be, right? People are gonna look at the easiest way to do things, right? It's like the path of least resistance, and people are gonna farm all these costumes and farm all these fabrics, and in 2 weeks we're gonna see the real bitching begin. So it's super disappointing, guys. I you know what, if you listen to this or watch this, I just hope you guys kind of take part in not doing stuff like this. Obviously, like, I'm not going to condemn anyone on an individual level that takes part in it. But if you do take part in this and you complain in 2 weeks that there's nothing for you to grind anymore, I will condemn you for that, for sure, because you're ruining the grind for yourself. You're ruining part of the fun for yourself, and all in the spirit of getting all the costumes within 2 days, right? What we've seen from Crystal Dynamics so far is that they are very open to dialogue. They're very open to kind of conversations around, loot and stuff like that. Even if we look at, is it Megan or Megan? Um, you know, they're super. Oh, here we go. Quick matchmaking. Oh, we're going live with this, guys. Kind of the way I wanted to talk about the community at large with regards to the dev team is that both of them are very communicative with each other. They're definitely two groups that will communicate with each other. We've definitely seen from Crystal Dynamics that they will engage in the community quite a bit, and they will take suggestions and ideas from the community and then kind of implement them. And kind of doing dumb shit like that, where you're like intentionally doing workarounds to grind cosmetics, is very stupid. But I imagine a lot of it also is on Crystal Dynamics for client side saving as well. Um, which we could talk about client side saving for like another half hour, 45 minutes, with regards to hex editors and everything like that. Like, to do client side saving in a game like this is very scary, very dangerous. And it's why, like, any sort of raid race, I think, is going to be invalidated on PC, maybe PS4, but I'm not 100%, or even on Xbox, but definitely on PC, if people are able to kind of edit those save files and kind of give themselves like gear and power levels and stuff like that. um it's very scary. But yeah, community at large, you guys can do better than this. um you guys can do way better than this. You guys, it's pathetic, absolutely pathetic, that they're gonna do this. So, oh well, oh well. All right, so I wasn't expecting to talk about this today. I totally missed this last night when I was putting together some show notes. So right now, for people who are listening on the iTunes version or the Spotify version, right now we have a post by Megan or Megan. I'm so sorry if I get that wrong. Marie, she is a Crystal Dynamics developer. So on Reddit, she posted something with regards to matchmaking clarifications as update. So we're gonna read it and kind of get the understanding of what's going on with matchmaking. So, hi all. We understand some folks in the community are not getting as many matchmaking experiences as they're hoping to see, and or encountering difficulties around using friend invitations to team up online. Here are some quick explanations, remedies, and a couple open issues we're working to correct. How does matchmaking search for strike team members work? If you have matchmaking enabled in your settings when you have a selected specific mission from the war table, you enter an assembling heroes matchmaking window in the center of the screen above hero selection and launch mission. The matchmaking search is looking for anyone else who has also selected that mission, has a hero selected who's not already in your strike team, has a hero power level within close range to your hero. Note: after 5 seconds, the search runs again, expanding the range of hero power levels incrementally, and it could take up to 2 to 6 minutes to expand the full range of possible matches based on population. Tip: you don't need to wait for a full strike team. You can launch anytime. If all players use the launch button, the countdown timer will drop to 4 seconds. There is an open bug where the strike team nameplates don't always flip over to display searching for heroes even though you are searching. The best indicator is the text in the center of the screen for indicating assembling heroes. We have a fix for nameplate searching for heroes refresh coming in a near-term patch. I wonder if that's going to be in the 1.3 patch. Be interesting to see if that's in 1.3. All right, how does quick match function work? Quick match is your fastest path to finding other players looking to team up for multiplayer. There are 2 different control prompts to activate quick match. Play as any hero. This provides the fastest match to any strike team with the space available. You may be switched to another hero to avoid duplicates in the strike team. Play a selected hero. This is the second fastest option. It finds the first available strike team with a space available if no member currently playing is your selected hero. So, I mean, if people are playing Hulk, apparently, if you play Hulk, you're probably good. So, yeah, if you play Hulk, never worry about matchmaking. You're probably fine. If you play anybody else, good luck. What happens if a player ends up matchmaking with a large difference in power level? The mission will scale the enemy power level down to the lowest member of the group, based on the best available gear in their inventory. Higher level players are scaled down mathematically to be 15 power levels above the mission baseline. This scaling does not in any way reduce the value of the current experience points earned or gear dropped or awarded for playing in the mixed group. Are certain maps more likely to get larger strike teams matched sooner? If you prefer choosing a specific war zone over quick matching, the highest traffic for matchmaking is observed in 1. Out of Shadows, 2. Enter the Avengers, 3. Stark Realities, 4. Our Town, and 5. We're Back. Okay, so if you really want to matchmake with people, guys, these are the ones to look for. So, good to know. That's good to know. Are certain maps less likely to receive quick match fills? Yes, due to their specific nature, we currently exclude vaults, harm challenges, and elite highs from being filled in with quick match. Matchmaking into these specific missions may take longer than other missions and will only happen for players who choose them directly from the war table. Okay. I think you should be able to matchmake for anything. If you have the power level to to do this solo, I think you should be matchmaking to everything. I think that's a mistake. Okay. Are there limitations on matchmaking in the Reassemble campaign? Yes, until you finish the campaign or choose to enter the Avengers initiative, your matchmaking is limited to the heroes and missions you have unlocked. We have various fixes to multiplayer and matchmaking system, including our next major patch version of 1.3.0. Good. That's so good. So my overall thoughts on this is this is all great and sort of done, but matchmaking is just broken. It's just broken. So I mean, tonight I'll try and matchmake into the Out of the Shadows, Enter the Avengers, Stark Realities, Our Town, and We're Back. Promise, it's just broken. It's just straight up broken. So, I know they're coming out here trying to get ahead of, any sort of conversation that may be happening as we kind of, move further and further away from launch. The problem is that it's just broken and they need to fix it. It's good to note that they're coming in with some fixes in 1.3.0. So, this was totally unexpected. I totally didn't see this last night putting my show notes in. So I mean, it says a lot, but it really doesn't say anything. You know what I mean? This kind of tells you a lot of stuff without saying much. There's some things that happen. They kind of go into the methodology of their matchmaking. But I would like to see, if I'm going to be completely honest with you guys, I would like to see this 2 to 6 minutes, to expand to full range of possible matches, literally drop. If I'm waiting 6 minutes, I'm not waiting 6 minutes. If I don't get people within the first 45 seconds to a minute, I'm just launching with my AI companions. I would like to see them increase the hero levels quicker, and just kind of within like 2 minutes. I would much rather it be like 20 seconds to 2 minutes, just because maybe that's just me. I'm super impatient, but I also play a multiplayer game with the expectation that multiplayer is going to work, and that's just kind of my opinion on it. If you guys are okay waiting 6 minutes to get 3 other people, I mean, by all means, like, all the power to you. But to me, I would much rather it be 20 seconds to 2 minutes rather than 2 to 6 minutes to expand to full range. Um, yeah, that's just me. So yeah. So anyways, guys, I'm gonna take off here. I feel like I'm getting sick. I feel like I'm just getting sick as I do this, which is not good. I have a dentist appointment on Tuesday, and if I get sick, they're not gonna let me in because it's COVID season. Um, so it's scary. It's scary. I don't have it, but I mean, if you show one symptom, you can't go. So I'm gonna go rest for a little bit, guys. And thank you guys so much for hanging out for the last little bit today. Listening to me kind of rant about the game and talk about some things about the game. If you guys enjoy Assemble, make sure you follow Assemble on Twitter, which is at AssembleCast. You can follow me on YouTube, which is Assemble Podcast. If you guys are listening on Spotify or iTunes, make sure you follow the podcast on those platforms. They both on those platforms are Assemble Podcast. I release an episode. If you're new to the podcast, I release an episode, a main episode every weekend. During the week, depending on what's kind of happening with the game, I'll release like a smaller YouTube video. So YouTube video has some more content than what the audio versions do. I am thinking about starting a Patreon for the podcast. If any of you are interested in kind of just throwing $1 my way every month, just kind of as like a thank you and kind of like a support, here you go. There is some benefits to the dollar, and as it kind of goes up, goes forth, there'll be more benefits attached to that. So if you guys are interested in kind of that, I can kind of release that in the next like week or so here. It's not something that's mandatory at all. I'll keep doing this as best as I can. But gotta get that bread, you know what I'm saying? So with that being said, guys, I am out for today, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and I will see you guys later on in my stream. If not, I will see you guys next time on Assemble. So take it easy, guys. Have a good one. Peace out. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time. See ya.